He said he was working late again. It's the classic excuse, right? I've never been the jealous type, honestly. But when your husband suddenly starts changing his phone passcode, whispering on calls and taking them out in the garage, you start to get a little suspicious. It's hard not to let your mind wander to the worst possible places. So, I did what any modern wife with a healthy dose of suspicion would do. I opened up the Find My Phone app. We've always shared our locations, a little safety feature we set up years ago. I figured in his haste to be secretive, he probably forgot to turn it off. As the map loaded, I could hear a storm starting to brew outside, the low rumble of thunder matching the unease in my stomach, and then, there it was. The little blue dot that represented my husband appeared on the screen. My heart sank a little. He wasn't at the office complex downtown. I zoomed out, checking the usual spots, maybe a bar with his colleagues or even the gym. But he wasn't at any of those places. The dot was. Here, it was pulsing steadily right on top of our own house. I frowned, completely confused. That couldn't be right. I walked over to the living room window and peered out into the rainy darkness. His car was gone. The driveway was empty. I even peeked into the garage through the connecting door. Empty. There was no way he was home. I went back to the app, my thumb hovering over the refresh button. I tapped it once, twice. The result was the same. The dot was right here. The app even had the audacity to tell me the location was accurate within 5 feet. A shiver went down my spine that had nothing to do with the cold draft from the window. On a weird impulse, I started walking. I went from the living room into the kitchen. I glanced down at my phone screen. The dot moved with me. My breath hitched. I walked back into the hallway, my steps quickening. The dot followed, a perfect digital shadow. It was tracking my every move. My blood ran cold as the realization dawned on me. It wasn't his phone I was tracking, it was Wait. How was that even possible? It was registered to his account, his number. It had to be his phone. But if it wasn't with him, and it was moving with me, then that meant it had to be somewhere on me. I patted my pockets, checked my purse again. Nothing. It made no sense. This whole situation was impossible. It felt like a glitch, a terrifying personal glitch in the matrix of our lives. My mind raced, trying to piece together this puzzle. How could his phone be here, moving with me, when it wasn't on me? Then another thought struck me. What if it wasn't on me, but just near me, really near me? I decided to test the theory. I stood perfectly still in the center of the living room and called his number. I pressed the phone to my ear, listening intently over the sound of my own frantic heartbeat. Silence, just the standard ring-back tone from my end. And then I heard it, a faint, muffled buzzing. A digital ringtone, distorted and barely audible. I held my breath and tried to pinpoint the source. It was coming from the direction of the kitchen. I tiptoed closer, the sound growing slightly louder. It was coming from the pantry. The new pantry he had just built for me last weekend. He had spent the entire Saturday and Sunday working on it, hammering and sawing away. He said he wanted to surprise me with more storage space. He was so proud of his handiwork. My hand trembled as I stood before the new pantry door. The ringing was definitely coming from inside, but not just from inside the pantry. It sounded like it was coming from inside the wall itself. The new drywall was smooth and freshly painted. He'd done a good job, a perfect job. A cold dread washed over me. Why would his phone be inside a wall? Maybe he dropped it while he was building. It could have been an accident, a silly mistake. He could have sealed it up without even realizing it. That had to be it. It was the only logical explanation. But the other inconsistencies, the late nights, the secret calls, they didn't fit with a simple accident. I had to know for sure. I ran to the garage and grabbed a hammer from the toolbox. I didn't care about the pristine new wall anymore. I didn't care about the mess. I needed to know what was in there. I needed to silence the ringing that was now echoing the frantic alarm bells in my own head. With a surge of adrenaline, I swung the hammer against the drywall. The sound of the impact was explosive in the quiet house. It cracked, sending a spiderweb of fractures across the paint. I hit it again and again, tearing a hole into the plaster. Dust and debris rained down on the floor. I coughed, peering into the dark cavity I had created between the wooden studs. And that's when I saw it. A faint electronic glow from within the darkness. It was the light of his phone screen, still illuminated from my call. Relief washed over me for a split second. It was just the phone. I had been panicking over nothing. I reached my hand into the rough, dusty hole to retrieve it, but my fingers didn't touch the cool, smooth glass of a phone screen. Instead, they brushed against fabric. A soft, familiar fabric. It was a shirt. His favorite blue button-down shirt and the fabric. It was warm. Before I could even process what that meant, before I could pull my hand back, the hand inside the wall grabbed mine. It squeezed tight, its grip impossibly strong. A scream caught in my throat as I stared into the darkness, the phone still ringing, a mocking endless serenade in the wall. Thanks for listening. If you liked this story, don't forget to hit subscribe for more chilling tales every week.